Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories, where today, my daughter demands I pay for her school trip. I, 37 female, have a daughter, Mia, who's 15. Mia is very forgetful and irresponsible when it comes to school. She's barely on time and late to school most days, even though we live a 10-minute walk away. She will do homework last minute and often ask for extensions with her work. She had a tendency to remind me to pay for school-related things like lunch money just before I'm going to bed, or that she needs to take something into school, so can we run to the store and quickly get it. Last month, I went on a wild goose chase to help Mia locate ingredients for her home economics class after she told me late at night that she needs these ingredients and she just checked the fridge and we don't have any. She was reading the ingredients off an email, and when I saw it was dated a week prior, I got annoyed because she could have told me this back when I was doing my grocery shopping for the family. I told her the next time she needs something for school to tell me the day she gets told or the day after at the latest, or I will not be helping her out. My husband has stopped helping Mia with her last-minute requests and calls me a pushover for helping her out. But when she asked today to put down the deposit for a school trip, I put my foot down. Mia has known since the start of the school year she had a school trip to Germany. Her school sent an email out 2 months ago asking for deposits for kids to secure their place on the trip. It's about $150, and Mia asked me today to pay as the deadline is midnight or she may not be able to go. I reminded her what I said last time about deadlines and organization, and as she chose to tell me last minute, I will not be paying for her deposit. She got upset as all of her friends from history class are going. I told Mia that she can pay for it herself from her savings as she does have a part-time job, which is more than enough to cover her deposit, but she wanted to save up to buy a new game console. I told her to pick if she wanted to go on the trip or to get the new game console, and she called me a jerk, and now I'm wondering if I'm being unreasonable. My husband is on my side, but my youngest said it was mean, and Mia is very upset with me. ETA, Mia does not have ADHD, but she is dyslexic, so this does explain the schoolwork sometimes, but she will ask for extensions on top of her extensions, which is a sore spot for her, and my husband who wants her to be more organized and not leave work last minute. Mia has been tested for ADHD and does not have it. I did my research at the time, and I realized that it's often overlooked for girls, but even after getting another opinion, she doesn't have it. She gets help from a school advisor regarding her dyslexia, and at home we have discussed strategies to help her stay on track with her responsibilities. Not the jerk. If she didn't have enough of her own money, I'd probably cave in, but she wants you to spend your money instead, knowing full well that she blew it again. Stick to your guns. She needs to literally pay for her mistake. If she can remember what game console she's saving for, she can remember her obligations. If she has a cell phone, why isn't she setting her own alarms and entering reminders on her phone's calendar? She's 15. Stop babying her. You're not doing her any favors. How is she supposed to learn and eventually move out on her own if you're always enabling her? Not the jerk. But if she has issues with organization and has not been able to figure it out herself, it's your place as her parents to help her navigate this. For example, you can set up a weekly family check-in where she actively checks on all the things she needs to do, compiles a list, and shares it with you, along with the respective deadlines. Joint activities like that would teach her the skills to be more organized. Expecting her to figure it out on her own without guiding her, and then getting annoyed with her when she fails to be organized, seems unfair, or at least not helpful to her situation. Am I the jerk for wearing a white dress to a wedding after the bride asked me to? Oh my goodness, my head is in such a jumble right now. Let me try to make sense of all this. When I, 26 female, was 5, we moved, and our next door neighbors had a girl my age named Bella, who's 27 now. We immediately connected and we grew up thick as thieves. Our families were also close. I moved a couple of hours away for college while Bella stayed home. She would come visit me frequently, stay with me, and we had great times. I met Barrett, 26, male, in an economics class sophomore year, and I realized we had a lot of friends in common. He was a smart, attractive guy, so we ended up hooking up a few times after study sessions. It was fun, but there wasn't really long-term chemistry, so we remained friends. We never even talked about dating. We weren't close after this, but we were on group text threads together and saw each other frequently at parties. I introduced Bella to Barrett at a party senior year, and it was love at first sight for her. She interrogated me about him, and I informed her of our history. She seemed pretty upset about the fact that we had hooked up, but I assured her that there was absolutely nothing romantic there and that she had my blessing to pursue him. She did, and after a few months, they started dating officially. She was over the moon, and I was happy that she was happy. I graduated and accepted a job 6 hours away from home. Shortly afterwards, Bella and Barrett ended up moving in together in my hometown. I visited them frequently at first, but life got busy, so we ended up seeing each other annually at holidays. Last Christmas, my family hosted a Christmas Eve party with our two families at which Barrett proposed to Bella. It was a heartfelt proposal and everybody was thrilled for them. Bella wanted to talk about nothing but wedding planning that holiday, and we had tons of fun brainstorming ideas together. There were no signs of what was to come. Over the next few months, I expected to be formally asked to be Bella's maid of honor. She had mentioned this over the holidays, but the ask never came. She started screening my calls. Finally, I received a save the date in the mail and still hadn't heard from her about whether I was in the wedding, so I got her on the phone and asked her. She told me that she had thought it through and didn't think I should be in the wedding at all because I lived so far away. She thought it would make coordinating bridal events too difficult. She was making her cousin, who she doesn't even like, her maid of honor. I was pretty hurt by this. I was her closest and oldest friend. I introduced her to her fiancé and was friends with him too. I told her that I could get the time off of work, would buy plane tickets, whatever was required of me to participate, that I didn't think that it was going to be as challenging as she thought. She shrugged this off. Instead, she directed the conversation to whether I was going to be bringing someone to the wedding. I was a little confused by this question because I just had a bad breakup and she knew all about what went down. I told her that since I wasn't seeing anybody currently, I'd probably be attending solo. She told me that she would keep my +1 open until the last possible minute and encouraged me to try to find a date so I wouldn't be lonely. I thought this was a nice gesture, but reassured her that with my family present and tons of mutual friends from college in our hometown, that I would be fine. The next few months passed without much incident. I didn't hear a ton from Bella. I probably could have reached out more, but I was still stinging a bit from not being asked to be in the wedding party. I also saw on social media that she had had an emergency party that she hadn't even told me about or invited me to. That also hurt, but I didn't say anything. I figured we were just growing apart. It happens. Then 6 weeks prior to the wedding, I got a call from Bella. She told me that one of her bridesmaids had dropped out and that she was hoping that I could fill in. I wouldn't be going to any of the events as those were already booked, but I would be in the wedding party. I was thrilled and relieved and accepted immediately. She told me that since she was doing a reverse color palette for the bridal party, where all of the bridesmaids and groomsmen were wearing white and she and the groom were wearing black. This didn't seem that strange. Bella has always liked to stand out and has unconventional taste. She apologized for the late notice and asked if I could find a white dress in time. I had a white slip dress already that would work perfect, and I sent her a picture of it on the call to see if it would work. She verbally approved it and tagged it with a thumbs up on the text chain. This will be important later. The wedding was at noon, so we were supposed to meet to do hair and makeup at the venue at 8. I left my parents' home early and arrived in sweats with my dress in a bag, and I greeted Bella and the other girls. We had fun drinking champagne and getting ready. About 2 hours prior to the wedding, Bella told everyone to get our dresses on so we could do some pictures. I grabbed my bag and went to the bathroom to change and tweak my makeup. When I re-entered the room, every last bridesmaid was in a blue dress. I was the only one in white. My stomach dropped. My mind raced back to the conversation I had with Bella. She had said white, right? I hadn't misheard. No, I was certain. She had called out the reverse color scheme. I had Googled it. No, this was a setup. Bella was in the middle of the room in a bathrobe with a resigned look on her face. She said to her cousin, "I told you she was going to do something like this." Her cousin approached me and asked what I was wearing. I mumbled that Bella had told me to wear white. Bella didn't even blink. She stared back and huffed out a laugh and said something about how of course I would have to make today all about me. The cousin started screaming at me, going off on me about how I was jealous, in love with Barrett, and how completely unhinged I was. Honestly, I froze in that moment. I was so spun around by how fast everything went, from great to horrible, I couldn't even find the words to defend myself. Eventually, I stammered out that I had another dress at my parents' house and could go home and change. Bella said something like, "I think we both know that this is the end of our friendship. I've given you too many chances. It's time for you to go." I started to cry. I didn't really know what was happening or what she was talking about, but I knew that whatever was going down was really bad. Finally, my legs started to work again and I fled. I left all of my things at the venue and just ran to my car and went home, sobbing in the white dress. About an hour later, my phone blew up. Texts from nearly everyone in my life telling me that I was bitter, that I was a jerk, that I needed to grow up and get over my jealousy. asking how I could do that to Bella. Even my mother sent me a text telling me how disappointed she was in me and that we had talked when they got home. I did what any rational person would do in this situation. I got into the liquor cabinet and I started drinking. As a result, the conversation with my parents finally arrived home was somewhat confused. My dad wouldn't even look at me, and my mom and I kept talking past each other. She outright didn't believe that I had been told to wear white, and I didn't understand why. Then she said something like, "Because of everything else that's happened." And I was like, "What are you talking about? What does that mean?" And she said, "You know, your ultimatums to Bella?" The next few hours revealed the truth. Over the last several months, Bella has been building a fiction with nearly everyone in my life that I am mentally unstable and madly in love with Barrett. She's concocted a web of outlandish tales and systematically turned my family and friends against me. My boyfriend apparently dumped me because of my feelings for Barrett. Lie. He cheated and I dumped him. I told Bella that she needs to choose between me and Barrett. Never happened. I told Bella that I couldn't be in the wedding party because I couldn't support her marriage given that Barrett was meant for me. Lie. I had a major meltdown before the engagement party, and that's why I wasn't there. On and on, lies on top of lies. In all of these stories, Bella had painted herself as the patient, long-suffering friend trying to deal with a friend clearly going through a tough time. She expressed understanding for my unrequited love for Barrett and empathized with her how hard it must be for me to see her marry the love of my life, and has made great efforts to try to sustain our friendship despite how complicated the situation is. The lie has been going on so long, my mom literally did not believe me. Finally, I grabbed my phone and handed it to her and told her to go through my text messages with Bella. Asked her to show me any evidence of any of that happening. That was when she was scrolling through reading our messages that she saw the picture of the white dress I had sent Bella with her thumbs up on it. I had completely forgotten about it. The absence of any ultimatums or Barrett drama in our text and the picture of the approved dress flipped my mom. She finally believed me, and she was horrified that she had bought into a false narrative. She called my dad into the room and explained what was what. My dad isn't the type of person you would want to upset. We had to spend significant energy trying to calm him down so he didn't walk next door and rip the house from the foundation. My mom still says that I'm a bit of a jerk because I should never have assumed that I could wear white to someone's wedding. I should have confirmed with the other bridesmaids about what they were wearing, and that was part of my job as a member of the bridal party. Fine, I own that. But it doesn't change the fact that I never meant to hurt Bella, and she has been setting me up for this epic fall for months. The next day, hungover on multiple levels, I sent screen caps of my call history with Bella and the photo of the approved dress text to multiple people. Unfortunately, this is where my occupation works against me. I'm a graphic designer, and people believe that I photoshopped the image. Trust me, if I was going to Photoshop some proof, it would have been a heck of a lot more compelling than somebody liking an image. So pretty much nobody believes me except my mom, dad, and one of the other bridesmaids, one of Bella's friends from college I don't know well. She was there during the dress incident, and she found me on social media and DM'd me that she could tell from the stunned look on my face that I was telling the truth. She said Bella got really sick during lockdown, and ever since then she's changed as a person, becoming cruel and self-absorbed. She said the wedding events had been horrific and Bella was a monster, and she was planning on going no contact now that it was done. So that's 3 people out of hundreds that don't think I'm a jerk. Everybody else does. My reputation destroyed. My life in tatters. I don't think I'm the jerk, but I submit myself to Reddit's judgment. Update. In the immediate aftermath of the wedding and post, I did as people suggested and sent out a screen recording of my text messages with Bella, all of them going back months to counter her narrative that I was unstable and explaining my side of the story. There were 3 camps that emerged as a result. First were my high school friends. Most of them are religious and had been extensively brainwashed by Bella. None took my side except for the one bridesmaid who had already contacted me. Next were the college friends closer to me. None of them had heard Bella's whisper campaign and accepted the evidence immediately. Several of them told me that they had never really liked Bella and that she had talked crap about me behind my back. This was news to me, but also a relief because these are the relationships I mostly don't want to lose, and it looks like I won't. The college friends who are closer to Barrett just don't really care. A lot of these guys are classic dude bros that are drama adverse, so I'm not really shocked they aren't relishing the chance to wade through it. No hostility coming from these people anymore, but no support either. I can live with that. Bella's nuclear and extended family I've given up on. When I was back for Christmas, I tried to go over to speak to Bella's parents, who were like parents to me also, and they refused to even open the door. I left a letter in their mailbox. It went unacknowledged. In general, things have settled into a new normal, and I just focus on my life and my work, and I'm trying to move forward. I went home for the holidays and just hung out with my parents. Life was okay. Until January 1st, I signed into an older email account that I haven't used in a while to reset a password. In the spirit of New Year digital housekeeping, I started going through old messages, intending to close this account for good, when I saw an email from my ex with the subject line, "I win." I can't describe the gut punch that I felt when I saw that mail. I freeze up now just writing about it. My ex, let's call him Matthew, was the perfect boyfriend, until he wasn't. He became very controlling after our first year of dating. He wanted to control what I wore, what I ate, who I talked to, who I connected with, and what I posted on social media. He was very cunning and nuanced with the way he tore me down slowly over time, but then he slipped up. I found out he was cheating, and I woke up enough to get out of there. The breakup was a nightmare. He refused to let me break up with him. We were living together. He put tracking software on my phone and bugged my car. He had people at my job reporting to him on my movements. I couldn't get away from him. I couldn't hide. He kept showing up. The police were useless. It was horrible for months, living under the terror that he would show up again. I had changed my job, my number, my address, my email account, my social media profiles were private. This was the only place I forgot to block him. The "I win" email was sent the day after the wedding. He said that he had become close with Bella after we broke up. He called himself the architect of my demise. He said he had fed Bella paranoia about me and Barrett, and that together they had planned my punishment. He said losing everyone important in my life was what I deserved, and then he said we should get back together, unless I wanted more unfortunate things like this to keep happening. Yes, he is delusional. It took me a while to collect myself and get my crap back together after reading that. I fell apart for a few days. My mom helped pull me back together and now knows the details about what happened with Matthew. She connected me with a family friend, an attorney, that's currently helping me file for a restraining order against Matthew. I tried during the stalking period, but couldn't afford an attorney and was denied. I think with the email evidence and the attorney saying things the right way, it will be granted this time, but the hearing is not for another couple of weeks. It's on Zoom, and Matthew will get a chance to be there. I'm terrified to see him, even just on screen. Once I had dealt with my own safety, I had the realization that I was in possession of absolute proof that the wedding incident was a setup. I considered blasting it out everywhere, but I still have so much shame about the relationship, and I can't bring myself to do it. So I decided to just forward it to Barrett with a small amount of explanation. Barrett did not respond to the email. I do not know what happened in Bella and Barrett's household after that, but what I do know is that 2 nights later, Bella drunk drove her car to my parents' house. While attempting to park in their driveway, she ran over the mailbox. When my parents answered the door, she started screaming about how I'm a homewrecker. In her drunken ramblings, my parents were able to figure out that Barrett had left her. Her parents were called over from next door to collect her. My dad said that they seemed extremely embarrassed. I know a lot of people here will probably be fist-pumping the air that Bella met with some karma. I'm not one of them. Matthew is a monster, and I know firsthand how charming and convincing he is. Bella, much like I did, fell for his act. Her happiness has been destroyed by Matthew too, and I have a really hard time blaming her now that I know that he was pulling the strings. But she also made her choices. I'm not dumb enough to reconcile with her either. My #1 priority is my safety, and anybody who has ties to Matthew is someone that I need to steer far away from. Bella will have to find her own path back to good. There's a role that opened on my team in another country. It's a manager position, which would be a promotion for me, and my boss thinks I should apply. While it would be harder, having even more distance from my folks, I think being in an entirely new country might help cultivate a feeling of safety for me, one that I'm not sure I can get in this city now. So that might be what's next for me. I've just been betrayed by the 2 people I trusted the most, and I don't know what to feel anymore. I won't lie, I've been suspecting my fiance was having an affair, but I didn't have any solid evidence to accuse him. Even then I had a feeling that I didn't want to dig any deeper because I was scared in case what I was suspecting was true. 12 days ago, I came home from visiting my mom's and I headed upstairs to wake my fiance, as he has a habit of sleeping in way past 2 p.m. and then complain that I didn't wake him. I open the door and all I see is my sister rushing to try to get out of the sleepwear that belonged to me. I don't know how to explain it, but my mind just went blank, like whatever I was thinking about beforehand suddenly disappeared. You know when you stand up too fast and your head just gets dizzy? That's what I felt, alongside the feeling of sickness brewing in my stomach. I stood there for a solid 30 seconds, looking at the two people I trusted most look more shocked than I felt. My husband jumped out of bed and suddenly came up with excuses that went from, "It was an accident," to, "I was lonely." I probably should add, I lost my best friend just 2 weeks ago. The girl I knew for over 15 years was suddenly out of my life, and even though I'm surrounded by people, I've told my fiance about how alone, sad, and guilty I feel that I couldn't have done anything to help her. I just left. I didn't take my car because at that point my eyes were just about to start flooding. I walked to my friend who lives 10 minutes away and confided in her about what had happened. The amount of grief I felt from not only losing my BFF, but losing my relationships with my fiance and sister within the same 2-week period. Now that I'm sitting down to write this, I don't know if any of these relationships will ever be mended or could ever go back to the way they were. I don't understand why my sister of all people would do this. There was never any favoritism towards any of us for her to feel spite. I've never intentionally tried to hurt her. I gave her shelter when she had no place to go, and despite her not paying a single penny, I bought her food that she liked, made sacrifices in my own home for her. She kept ranting about how our living room walls gave her a headache. They were white, so I took time out of my day to paint it a nice gray color. My fiance too, I gave that man everything. I was willing to have kids with him despite the fact I always wanted to be child-free. I was going to start a family so that he was happy. I gave him comfort whenever something bad happened to him. I spent hours watching unfunny movies that he seemed to find hilarious. I even gave him a locket with our anniversary photo in it. These past few days, I went from sadness to being angry, and despite being smoke-free for 2 years, I picked the habit back up. Now there's moments where I go to do something but automatically lose interest, and even during dinner, I don't know how to explain it properly as I've never felt this way before. But it's like I'm bored of eating, and I have to physically make myself eat something, and I have no idea what's going on to my body. For some reason, it feels as if I've gone into hibernation. I sleep almost 17 hours a day now, and even for the rest of those hours, I'm still tired and force myself to stay awake. Both of them asked to meet up on Wednesday. My sister's exact message was, "Hey, I know you probably don't want to hear from me right now, but can you meet me and your fiance? We want to talk, and we want you to properly hear us out. The situation you found us in was not the most ideal situation to put you in a good headspace to talk about it right there and then. Please let us explain. I love you, and you're my sister, and I don't want to lose you. Please." I think it's too late. It was too late from whenever this affair started, or even when you started wanting to hook up with my fiance. I miss my sister, but according to what I saw, the sister I miss and whoever my sister is now are not the same person. I haven't talked to anyone yet, except the one friend I'm currently staying with at the moment. I'm scared I'll be seen as a failure of a future wife, but now I don't even think I want to be a wife anymore. But I guess I'd rather share to strangers than people who know me personally. Update. So far, nothing big has happened. The friend I'm staying with has offered to come with me to talk to my parents about this, also including my older brother. She honestly has been my rock through the whole situation, and I couldn't ask for a better support system from one person, though I don't plan on putting that on her shoulders since it would be stressful. I'm currently looking into therapy for both my grief and the affair. I'm not well versed legal-wise, so I'm currently in the process of looking for a lawyer, just so legally I know I'm in the clear in case there would be a loophole somewhere. I did contact my sister, and I said, "I don't plan on meeting with you on Wednesday. I'll talk to you when I'm ready, whether it be tomorrow or years from now. It doesn't matter. You both owe me my own time to heal after the two people I trusted the most went behind my back, betrayed my trust, all under my roof that you both lived rent-free under. Goodbye." I can't lie. I was almost ready to tell her to meet me there and then when she sent that message, but I realized, and through help of people in the comments, that I can't think enough. I need time to work on myself mentally rather than repair a long-gone relationship with my sister. No, I don't plan on going back to my ex, and I never will. Maybe one day I'll hear him out, but today is not that day. As for now, I'm getting ready to try and explain to my parents everything that happened. I don't have any evidence between my ex and sister. However, I do have their messages they sent me, which traps one another. Update. I got myself into therapy and began taking care of myself and myself only. Entering my relationship with my ex, I hadn't noticed how much time I spent taking care of him and neglecting myself and my needs. It was one of those relationships that you didn't notice the faults until you leave and become a sort of specter of what that relationship was actually like. I think part of me was so invested in believing he was a good guy because how past relationships had hurt me before, that I tried very hard to hold on to the idea that I had finally found someone who was different. Loving the wrong person can lead to devastating consequences, and I just happened to do that exact thing. Whenever I had seen stories before about people staying with their cheating partner, I was so quick to criticize how stupid that would be and thought, what did you expect when they cheat again? But now that I've been through that, it was very eye-opening. It's not easy to just give up and leave behind someone you had invested so much love, time, and effort into. Yes, you can lose all love for that person in seconds, but you never lose the feeling of the love you felt before, if that makes sense. After I found out, I did want to try and work it out for many reasons, but through the help of my therapist, she helped me realize that I wanted to stay because after my best friend's passing, he was the only thing that felt familiar in the moment. Everyone is growing up and moving away in my life. I was in a position that I felt so alone, but to expect people not to change is to not allow growth. They moved out of my house and I moved back in. I won't lie, it was lonely. I was so used to other voices in my home and it felt empty. But an empty room is open to hundreds of ideas in my opinion. I redecorated with the help of friends and some family, and even though I had lost 2 people, thanks to them, I was able to make memories that I'll always cherish. I won't try and cover up that before I got therapy, I was a wreck. I was just so tired of disappointment from my ex that the cheating was the final blow that knocked me back into reality. My sister's betrayal hurt way worse because we share the same parents. We used to share bunk beds, and without my knowledge, shared the same partner. But I owe them a thanks for allowing me to remove people who clearly had no good intentions. I will always love my sister, even though I don't want to, but sometimes there are strings attached to people that just can't be cut, and she's one of them. I'll never welcome her into my home again, but I'll answer the phone if she was at her lowest. Even though she was a snake in my garden, doesn't mean she's not my sister. She did try to call a couple of weeks after she had moved out, and at first I was angry at her. I honestly just wanted to get revenge. But when I answered and heard her voice, I just felt sorry for her. Everyone in my family knew how terrible she was, and just for some pleasure, she ruined the last relationship that was trying to help her. I just think she's a very self-destructive person that will never learn. They were constantly staying at different friends' houses because they couldn't afford to rent anywhere. My sister is apparently cheating on my ex with random people, and none of them are able to hold down a job. I would say karma, but it's just sad. My ex traded someone who became a pushover for him, who gave him everything she could, for someone who couldn't give a hoot about him. I wish them well. I deserve better than that, and I just hope one day they grow up and begin to become better people than they are right now. My family no longer talks to my sister, so she's on her own. Some things I hear about her remind me of just a confused kid. However, I did see her on New Year's Eve. Me and some friends went clubbing because why not, and we unintentionally ran into her. At first, I tried to ignore her and just pretend I didn't see her, but she ended up coming up to me and tried to talk to me as if nothing had happened. As the ex-partner, I wanted revenge, but as her sister, I wanted to hug her and ask her why. But I just left. After we remove labels of sister, or her partner's ex, or whatever, we share the same DNA, and that will always be the thing that connects us. As for my dating life, I'm currently seeing someone and have been doing so since November. I deserve happiness, and I deserve a lot more than what my ex gave me. However, I'm still dealing with issues from that relationship that has me in moments of guilt and not giving my full trust. I'm happy that he understands and listens to me when I have concerns, but I don't want to constantly live with issues I carried because of someone else. We're taking it slow, and he always reassures me he's a good guy, and I'm happy he's in my life. I will find my peace with the situation eventually, but I'll have to work to get to that point, and that's okay. My pregnant daughter is demanding to move in with me and bringing her boyfriend who doesn't even work. My daughter is 23. I'm dad, by the way. A few years ago, my wife, not her mom, took her to get a birth control implant, and she was always happy on it. Fast forward about a year, and she meets a guy, he's 28, online, and falls in love. He lives in another state. She quickly started talking about how they both want to get married and both want to have kids. About 3 months before her trip to meet him in person, she told me she had gotten her implant out and switched to the pill because she doesn't like the implant anymore. This kind of raised my eyebrow. So I talked to her. We go over how important it is to take the pill properly every day, and we talk about other birth control options. She's set on the pill. I also went over the cost of kids and the amount of work and responsibility babies are with her. Part of my concern here is that her mother openly admits she stopped taking her pills and intentionally got pregnant so I would marry her. I did, and we are divorced now. I also told her that I love my kids and raising them, but but I had no interest in raising theirs. I'm enjoying retirement. I have a 10 and an 8-year-old with my wife. Well, lo and behold, she gets pregnant on her trip. Boyfriend is not financially stable and is in another state, and due to morning sickness, she's been missing a lot of work. She's intent on keeping the baby. She called last night and asked if she and her boyfriend could come live with me so he could move here and find a job. He doesn't have any significant work history or education and is morbidly obese, which causes him a lot of health problems, so currently he's on disability. And they would save up money and be out before the baby is born. Also note, her mom does not have room at her house. I said no. My daughter has a history of not following through on her commitments, and I know that she won't actually move out before she has the baby, and probably not for a long while after. She has trouble taking responsibility for herself, and I'm guessing we'll be the ones dealing with the baby mostly. We currently have a cat she adopted and then didn't want because she wouldn't clean its box, so it went to the bathroom everywhere. On top of that, I don't want this man that I don't know and she barely knows in my home with my kids. So now he's flying up here so they can find a place together. She currently rents a room in a party house. I told her I would help her with the deposit and first month's rent, but if they wanted to go play house, I wasn't going to fund it, so don't expect me to pay when they can't. Now she's upset with me. Her mom has chewed me up one side and down the other for not supporting her. Am I the jerk? You're the jerk. We really need to normalize the fact that as parents, it's your duty to ensure your kid is taken care of, no matter how old they are. Not only are you extremely judgmental of your daughter's life, but now you flat out refuse to help her in her time of need. You sound like a deadbeat dad to me, and honestly, you don't even deserve your daughter. She deserves so much better, and it's a shame you're not man enough to step up to the plate and be an actual father. I didn't even show up at my own dad's funeral because he was also a judgmental jerk that always had an opinion and couldn't keep his mouth shut. Don't be surprised when your daughter doesn't show up at yours or even make a post on social media about it. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.